Hi, Cindy. Thank you very much, Cindy. Okay, it is recording. Hi, good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go ahead and start in just a moment. I'm not sure if I can see who's all with us tonight, but I'm going to give people just one more moment to be here. So thank you very much. If you've arrived, we're glad you're here. Just hold on for 1 minute and then we'll start. Okay, we'll go ahead and start. So good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I know this is a busy time of the year, holiday season. We hope that you found time today to stop and think about something that is actually a profoundly important topic at any time of the year, but perhaps maybe right now when emotions may be running hard and high and fast. So tonight we're going to spend a little bit of time thinking about social and emotional development. And all the while that we're talking about this, it's called SEL in the field, but all the while we're talking about that, I want you to think about, would people with these skills, if our community of learners, our community of neighbors, town folk, and so on, if all of our communities included people that had these skills, might they be more inclined to experience conflict resolution as a positive or otherwise. So I want you to think about that while we're going through these skills and applying them with an end goal of positive conflict resolution. Okay, so here we go. My name, by the way, is Karen DeVoogd, and I'm here tonight as a representative of the Online Peer Mediation Program, and I share this honor of working in this work with Dr. Cindy Morton, who has done incredible work in setting up these webinars and other things. But you'll see that we have a website and a platform, Online Peer Mediation, and during the call I'm going to be referring to some resources that you find on this website. So please do check this out, bookmark it, return to it often, contribute ideas and content as we go. Okay, so I'm one of the people that have worked in this project for a while and continue to grow new content for this work in conflict resolution and using this platform to network and to really get out more and more ideas about the underlying skills and community involved with this. Okay, here we go. Now it's time. What is SEL? We are going to lean into the work that's been done by CASAL, C-A-S-A-L, and that stands for the Collaborative Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning group. And this is a group that has been started by Roger Weisberg out of the University of Illinois at Chicago, and they have done an outstanding job of framing this around some outcomes, or well, they call it a framework. I think that certainly communicates or describes the work very well. So social and emotional learning has 5 elements to it that can be implemented in a classroom, in a school, in home, and in community. So what we're going to talk about tonight is related to curriculum and instruction. But here we go. Self-management is one of those skills that students can learn and should learn. Responsible decision-making, relationship skills, social awareness, and self-awareness. And when a student grows all of these skills, they can come at the world around them, and especially conflict moments, heavily armed and ready to handle it productively. So we're going to look at some of this work by CASAL. First off, go ahead and get some popcorn, put your feet up. We're going to have a chance to watch the CASAL video. And I really just think that they tell the story best of all. And so I'll share this video. I'm going to stop my screen and reshare so that you can hear what's happening in the video. So hold on just a moment as I prepare for our video.
Have the ability to set goals.
It's coming right up here.
If we don't teach them in school, a lot of children are not most basic, most important.
Our children are begging us for the right to believe in themselves and the right to be inspired. The children are crying out and saying, I don't see purpose in my life. I don't have a dream anymore. Okay, I'm going to go to school. What's the value? I'm not even going to be able to make it. SEL's kind of so that kids relate. Be collaborative, creative, be able to work in a group setting. So for us, it's a huge part of that.
We want to embrace one another, to accept people for who they are, to know how to to understand themselves.
It helps me have a happy brain and be more efficient.
Definitely strained out my life. I can't even. It just teaches you how to just be empathetic with others and how to listen, how to care.
It's really about developing those attitudes, skills, and knowledge that allows a student and an adult to achieve that approach to how they will work as a person.
We have the evidence, we know it works. We have the compelling argument that we need the whole child. I think it is our time to really capitalize on it.
We actually do have evidence now. We did not have it. There, we were in the R&D phase in social emotional learning. We're not in that phase. Content is more and more of a commodity. Children own what they want at very young ages. They will become self-directed. They can find out the dates of something more without bringing it to teacher. So the question that they're bringing to school is, how do I work with them? How do we build a team? What is our purpose? Where do I fit? Nurture children to believe that it's working. CASTLE is the community of people trying to build this field. It has people in it that talk about their work as being learning, grit, empathy, character. There's lots of different brands. Just like there are lots of different people who teach mathematics differently, but they all join together and feel like they're part of mathematics. CASTLE is the community of people that is educating as part of
CASTLE is a collaborative, and that's important. Our name, Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. The C and the L, the collaboration and the learning, the openness to learning, the knowledge that there are other people out there doing good work, and we want to capitalize and develop that work as well as our work. Think about ways things fit together. The collaborative side of CASTLE and the learning side are really important.
We work in research, we work in practice, and we work in purpose.
We committed ourselves with school change strategy.
We spent the last 20 years learning about and studying social and emotional learning. We've written many books and guides and have been deeply immersed in this work. We then took the very research orientation to practice in large urban districts to help districts implement systemic SEL at the district level, at the building level, at the classroom level. It's exciting to be at a place in time where we as a country finally know enough about how kids are going to learn and learn best that it is making it possible for school districts to really embrace this work.
The good news is we now have some degree of evidence that says the country could actually change. Not just a classroom or a school. The country could change. We can reduce violence, we can reduce truancy, reduce disengagement, reduce anxiety. And at the same time, we can promote better academic test scores. We can promote a more positive sense of self. The only question isn't can we, or how can we? The question is will we?
Okay, I think that's such an outstanding video. I couldn't say it better myself. I had to share that with you, and later in the slides I'll have a link to the CASTLE websites and resources as well, but I just really think they say it best for themselves. So pardon for a moment as I stop sharing and get us back to our slide. There we go. Okay. So now that we know what it is, it's about growing sort of souls, is the way I like to think about it, is helping students actualize who they are as human beings. It's sort of that unspoken common core that we all need to know how to do. So why is this important? I think in our classrooms and in our communities, we're growing in diversity, we're growing in perspectives, and we don't often develop the skills we need to navigate diverse communities and diverse situations and different places that we find ourselves with unique people. So I think that this is absolutely, as research will tell us, important, and it impacts us in many aspects besides just our friendliness and our souls, but even down to academic work as well. A first piece of finding that I wanted to share with you tonight comes from some work that I was fortunate enough to do with Dr. Pamela Guerin at Fresno State University. And we did a study in the Central Valley of California with 6 different schools looking at the impact of direct instruction and learning social emotional skills in the context of our peer mediation program that we were responsible for. We worked in publishing this in 2016, and we invite you to get your hands on that piece. It was published by Conflict Resolution Quarterly, and you can see the information here about the volume and so on. And if you need to get your hands on that directly, we also have it linked on Online Peer Mediation resources. So some of our findings were, there were actually 10 statistically significant positive outcomes looking at the work that was done with students learning peer mediation. They hadn't known peer mediation before they began, learned the peer mediation works. We did a before and after looking at this impact. And we saw gains in students' ability to express empathy, their ability to take different perspectives or cognitive perspective taking, increased language arts test scores. I was personally sort of not expecting that and happily surprised to see that that happened. We saw an increase in school attendance of people that were, or students rather, that were involved with peer mediation. There was a positive sense of safety, a positive sense of belonging. There was a reduction at the school site in incidence bullying. There was a reduction in suspension and expulsion referrals. And there were more positive conflict strategy choices made by students that had learned these skills. And then there was a specific finding that was quite exciting, that our English learning students had increases in language arts standardized test scores. So I know that Castle has done a lot of research to show the impact, and I know in the video they were reminded that we've sort of gone beyond the research and development. We know this matters and we know that it works, and so now the time is to get the word out and to really embrace this work and bring it to the students, bring it to our people that are in front of us every day when we're teaching. So how do we do this? The next few slides, we're going to walk through each piece of the framework, and I'm going to share a strategy that I'm aware of. And if you're on the call tonight and have an idea, I would like you to pipe in during this next phase of the webinar, and you can either do this through the chat or you can unmute yourself and tell us some ideas that you have or may have used or seen in the past that address these skills and in the framework. Okay, so the first, oh yeah, I just had to show this teach piece. I think that's fabulous. You know, I don't have a tattoo, but if I did get one, I think I would get that one. So these are activities, again, for using the Castle framework. First piece of that is self-management. So self-management is gaining an awareness of what's happening in a moment of time. It's being reflective. It's recognizing emotion. It's recognizing the impact that our behavior is having on other people. And so we might think, well, you know, you either have it or you don't. And the work that has been done in the field shows that, yeah, okay, so some people may be better at it, but you really, all of us can learn how to do these things. So one of the strategies or activities is using children's literature, a piece of children's literature. So the piece that I'm sharing here today is My Mouth is a Volcano by Julia Cook. And in this book, this character is very impulsive. They blurt out, they say things that are inappropriate, they're very emotional. And throughout the story, this student is realizing that this is not going well for them. And eventually in the piece, the mother offers some really interesting advice, and I think I'll take it for myself as well. And she says to her son, The next time your important words are pushing into your teeth and out through your mouth, bite down hard and don't let them out. Take a deep breath. Push your words out through your nose. And when it's your turn to talk, take a deep breath, breathe them in, back into your mouth. Oh, will that work? I asked. Only if you make it work, said Mom. So this is just a strategy that was shared rather playfully in this piece of literature, but it's really about self-regulation. Like, oh, I'm blurting out. Oh, I'm saying too much, or I'm not using appropriate language. Stop, pause, breathe, then think. So that's something that kids can learn and practice. The next piece of the framework is self-awareness, and this is a little bit different than self-regulation in that it has helps you be aware of your triggers, if you like, or the things that bring happiness in your life, but also bring moments of being disturbed. And especially in the world of conflict resolution, this is what we tend to work in, of course, are those things when our needs are not being met and we find ourselves in crisis and chaos and conflict. So this is an activity that I'm borrowing from CREAT, Conflict Resolution Education and Teacher Education, and the fine work that was established by Dr. Trish Jones at Temple University. This is the bug activity. And so this is one example. There are many examples. You could make your own, or students could create their own little bugs. And it's to think about what are things that bother you. So for this example here, it was a student saying, well, it bothers me to be told no, or it bothers me to get a bad grade, or I don't like losing a game, or if I had my bug in my house, I don't like it when people leave dishes in the sink and don't wash them. Okay, so there's things, we all have them. We all have things that bother us and that we can be made aware of when we're made explicit. So I'm going to borrow from Erica Hassenbeck at Fresno Unified in the social emotional development work that they're doing. She says, if you can name it, you can tame it. And I think that's a really nice little mantra. I think maybe we should build some posters that say that. But when you're aware that something is a bother for you, it's a bug for you, you can be ready if you know that it's something that you can't avoid. It's going to happen. For example, you're getting ready, you're going to play a board game, you're going to play a game, and you don't like to lose. And if you know that's something that really bothers you, you can sort of gird yourself and be prepared and think about what might you do instead of a temper tantrum or throwing the dice or whatever it is. What's another strategy that you can have in your pocket and be ready, so when this bug happens, you can be ready with it. A different or productive, rather, being ready with a productive response. If you do this with a classroom of students, I think it's really helpful to have everybody be aware of what are the bugs of the others that they're going to be working with. I know that in a piece of professional work that I'm doing right now, there's one of our folks that's just very bothered by people arriving tardy to meetings, or to being late with promise or beyond deadlines or whatever. So being aware of that, if there's a reason that I do have to be late, I will let her know in advance. Or if I do need an extension and working through an activity, I can let her know so that I don't just suddenly show up late. So this can really be an important part of being in community with people as well. So self-awareness. Again, if anyone has some things they'd like to pipe in with, please do so through chat or unmute yourself. Another piece of social emotional development, sorry, let me move my little person down here a little bit, is responsible decision making. And again, this is one of those things that you think, oh, you're born with it. You know how to do this. Not necessarily. And there are some tools that you can tap into to help think through decision making. I have to confess, I've had this activity for a number of years, and I apologize that I can't recall the source of this. So if you are here or listening to this in the future and this is your work, would you please reach out so that I can give you credit for this? But decision-making wheel is an activity that I've used over the years. So first, it's a way of helping you sort of plot out what's around a problem or an incident or something that's coming up. Begin to think about what are your choices in responding to this conflict or problem. And for each one of the choices, you run it through the wheel. So let's say the problem is somebody is having trouble sharing resources, sharing the computer. So the problem is not sharing well. So some of the choices are, pick a straw, or we get another piece of equipment, or we go to another classroom, or neither of us get to use it. So we put our choices in that box too. Then after we've chosen one of them, we run it around the wheel. So let's say the decision is that neither of us get to use the piece of technology that's in the classroom. The consequences of that would be, we don't get, we don't get to enjoy ourselves, or we don't get to finish the activity we were working on or wanted to do. But let's keep running it. What values are at place here? Well, with that particular choice, it doesn't seem like anybody is going to get what they need. So I don't necessarily value your outcome, and you don't value my outcome. So we're not really honoring or respecting each other to be successful in what we're doing. How do we feel about that choice? Well, I'm not very happy about it. How do you feel about it? We need more information. Okay, or do we need more information? Is there someone who could help us if we're trying to decide that neither of us would use it? Then we make a decision, and we assess if our decision is good or not. So as you can see, you may run through this 2 or 3 times, and this can be a really powerful tool. In the past, I have seen it used where it's something like this is laminated and put on a table, and if students are trying to work through an activity or a problem that they're having, they can set that down in front of them and help guide themselves through those steps of making a good decision. So you may improvise on that if that fits your paradigm a little bit better. But I think plotting it out and anticipating what could be a variety of choices and what the consequences and outcomes of those choices are can help us grow that habit of mind, so that when we hit something, we begin to run that circle or that wheel in our head, even if we don't see it in front of us. So this is certainly a good thing to practice. Oh, by the way, it can also be a really good way to respond to a piece of literature. If you're working with students in a story, you can look at the main character and say, oh, what was their problem? What were their choices? What were the consequences? What values did they exhibit by making this choice? And so on. Okay, and their feelings, of course. I think I missed that in my description, but feelings are on this wheel as well. Relationship skills. Okay, so this is something that circles back to the circle as far as, in my estimation, I think that's the most powerful activity that you can do to build relationships in your classroom, to build a sense of trust and to build community. There's a group called Responsive Classroom, and they have a really nice protocol for running circle meetings. And again, I'm leaning into the CREAT, Conflict Resolution Education and Teacher Education, and borrowing this structure for running a circle meeting. And this is described as a morning meeting. I've seen teachers do this in kindergarten all the way through middle school and high school. The structure is basically the same, that there are rules of engagement, and that is one person speaks at a time. This often involves a speaking piece or talking piece. So when I'm holding the talking piece, it's my turn to speak, and then I pass it to the person next to me, and they hold it. And when they're holding it, no one else can speak. So those norms of one at a time. Then we speak honestly. We don't interrupt when someone else is speaking, and we are free to ask clarifying questions if needed. It's up to the group to decide what those norms are, but those are some good ground rules. In that morning meeting, once the ground rules are established, reminder, then there's a greeting. And the greeting can be something very playful, like, my name is Karen, I start with K, and today I'm feeling kind of kooky, or something like that. And then the next person would say their name, and so on. When students hear their name and know each other's names, for some, it could be the only time that people have called them their name that day. They may have found themselves up in the morning and out the door, and no one has even spoken their name, but they get a chance to hear their name and to say their name in this community, and it grows that relationship. In the sharing time, it can be related to an activity that is happening in the academic world of the students and in the classroom. So it could be share what you remember about what we discussed concerning watersheds in the Central Valley, you know, and everybody has to share one of the things they remembered. A group activity, or it could be something, share with us how you're feeling today getting ready for the holidays, and everybody can go around the circle and share that out. Group activity involves a structured activity around something short and sweet that either can grow a skill that you're working on. Maybe you're working on some active listening and restating, and so it's simply a prompt and students respond to that prompt and then restate. Or again, it can be content that they're studying. If we're studying the watershed, it could be construct a diagram that shows how the waters float into the Pacific out of the Los Angeles basin, something like that. Then after that short little activity where we're absolutely working together, then there is morning message. Now this again is described, and I'm going to later in the slides, I'm going to share the link to that particular group of people that have put this structure together, but there are tons and tons of circle meetings that are offered up, and they're getting to be more and more as we embrace Common Core standards in our schools. There's underlying skills of cooperative groups, collaborative, careful thinking, active listening. All those things are showing up in many of the new frameworks, and again in the Common Core standards. So these things help kids be ready to do that work that we're asking them to do. Okay, here we go. The next one is social awareness. And this is a skill that you can build and grow strong in thinking about, how do I do me when I'm in a group with other people? This is involved with perspective taking and empathy and understanding what's happening in this community that I'm in right now. So I'm borrowing an activity that was shared by one of our colleagues in online peer mediation work, Kristen Woodward, and she has this resource shared in our curriculum. Oh, there's my arrow again, in our curriculum piece, and it's called Flipping the ABCs. And I really like this because it seems to be very understandable. It's something I think that students can learn and internalize and think about, okay, I'm in an interaction, I'm in this social situation, what's happening right now? This talks about the first ABC, or typical ABCs, that we all bring to social situations we're in. We make assumptions about other people that are with us. If something's not going wrong, we often can look for blame or criticism. And flipping the ABCs starts it with the C, then back to B and A. So instead of ABC, assumption, blame, criticism, switch the script. The C is check your assumptions, at least momentarily. Check out facts and your perceptions. B, begin to frame again and define the situation. Is there a new way to see this situation that isn't a quick blame game? And A, acknowledge other facts, perspectives, or possibilities. So I just thought this was a really easy thing to get your head around, and I thank Kristen for sharing that. I think that's really powerful. And again, you will find that in our online peer mediation under the resources link. Okay, this may be, for some days this can be the hardest thing to do, but it is one of the most powerful things to do. Remember, if all of this seems overwhelming and it's like, I can't remember, I don't really know how to do social emotional development, you start with a smile. Just begin the habit of greeting your students every time you see them, whenever possible, with a friendly smile. It can set you off in the right direction. And at this point in the webinar, I'm trying to smile still as well. Here we go. Okay. Now I would like to share some resources with you, and this is going to involve me. I'll stop sharing my screen and then come back and share again. The first one, as mentioned a number of times, is the Online Peer Mediation Project platform. So I'm going to share that link with you now. Here we go. And you'll see in here that we've assembled a variety of things that address social emotional development. Active listening toolkit. That's being in community. That's understanding yourself. That's being articulate about your needs. Feeling strips. That's part of that decision-making loop, thinking about how does this impact me? What am I feeling? Then we have very specific peer mediation forms and guidelines and so on. But I also wanted to, under the resources button, show you where some of the curriculum was. Oh, excuse me, that's what I was showing you, pardon me. It's the research and best practices, that's what I want to show you. And here you can see some seminal pieces, Tricia Jones. There's Roger Weisberg from CASEL, a piece from him. And there's some really current stuff on the CASEL website, by the way. It's really, really been updated. I'm looking at a lot of 2017 information right now. Here's Dr. Langarin from Fresno State, Joseph Durlach, and the piece that Dr. Langarin and I worked on is also linked here as well, down on the list somewhere. There it is. Direct instruction and guided practice matter in conflict resolution, social emotional learning. So we hope that you will come to this website and click around and help yourself to these resources. Also, if you have resources you'd like to contribute, please let us know. We would like to widen the network. Okay, I'm going to go back to my slides here for a moment. And I want to take you and show you the CASEL website. Let's stop sharing. And here it comes. So CASEL, again, as I said, is out of the University of Illinois in Chicago, and they have done an amazing job of assembling research, best practice, curriculum resources, and they often have, I'm trying to see if there's listing when there's going to be a workshop or a seminar or whatever, but they do a lot of in service of teachers and impacting in schools. They offer grants for the work. There's partnership districts that they're working with. I know that we had interface through Association of Conflict Resolution with the school in Reno, and they were being supported by the work of CASEL as well. So there's you can spend all day and all night in this website itself. There's a lot of really, really powerful stuff to help you bring the awareness of what social emotional development is to your teaching team and to your administration if it's something that they're not aware of or understanding. There's just some really great stuff in here. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing, and my next resource is Edutopia. And I couldn't live without Edutopia. I think that they have taken up, oops, excuse me, there it is. Edutopia has just done a beautiful job of, it's sort of a blog format. There's a lot of visual, there's video, but there's a testimonial from teachers in the field sharing their best practice. And this particular link takes you to successful social and emotional learning strategies that were being used by these teachers. You click on this core strategy page. I do hope I didn't lose you there. Social and emotional learning, there we go. And they've got, as I say, they have outstanding video that's really easy to talk around with a parent group. There it is again. Okay, so bookmark Edutopia. Once you get on their listserv, that's what I would recommend. And once you're on that, I get things in my email all the time, and it will pull me into all kinds of interesting reading and research that's going on. But again, what I love about Edutopia, it's very testimonial. It's teachers in the field using stuff and sharing it out. All right, I think I have one more that I wanted to share with you. Oh, I have a couple. Oh yeah, responsive classroom. That's the one that I wanted to share with you. Oops, excuse me, just one moment. That link went down for me. Oh, I lost you all. I'm sorry, excuse me, just one moment. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment here. I know it's here somewhere. Okay. You know what? We are just not going to worry about that particular one. It's real. It is, again, it outlines, it has curriculum, it has strategies for using circles. It has a number of suggestions supported by CASEL, by the way. I know that CASEL has been involved with responsive classroom as well, but it shows examples of lessons that can be used from kindergarten through grade 12. So it's really, really a powerful place. And we hope that you'll have a chance to get your hands on this PowerPoint if you're interested, and these links would be live for you. The last one I wanted to share with you, and we'll cross our fingers that this one will work, is a link to children's literature that addresses social emotional topics. So here we go. Stop sharing. Oh, there's CASEL now. Okay, well, I don't want you right now, CASEL. Here we are. Okay. Share screen. There it is. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Thank you, thank you. So this is an outstanding website that talks about, oh, I didn't come up with the books, but this is a great website. Absolutely. Link to this one. There they are, 50 must-have picture books to teach social emotional development. But again, they have, this is sort of like a more detailed Pinterest, if you like. Great activities, good ideas, but there's often connections to best practice and theory and how to implement things. This particular edition of We Are Teachers talks about these outstanding books. So these are great books. Books about fear, might be lobsters. This is somebody having some fear about heights, the dark. Lemony Snicket, we know from Series of Unfortunate Events. Don't think about purple elephants. Too shy for show and tell. It goes on and on. These are just marvelous. My favorite one I want to show you, though, there it is right there. It's called Enemy Pie. If you haven't read this book yet, you have to read it. It's about how to make a friend. It is absolutely delightful. This boy is upset about a new neighbor that's moved in, and the dad has very cleverly found a way for them to become friends. So read this one. This is a really good one. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to just take a pause and give people a chance that may have joined us to ask any questions, either by unmuting their microphone or putting something in the chat that we can respond to. So I'll give you a minute to do that before I bring it in for a landing here. So my patience with wait time is probably not as good as it should be. I certainly remind my student teachers that they should be patient. But seeing no prompts in the chat right now, I am going to go ahead and come to summary of our time together today. Again, I hope that you found some specific strategies, that there's some resources that you're curious about now. I would be more than happy to share my PowerPoint slides with you if you'd like to contact me through the Online Peer Mediation platform. Closing remarks tonight. Please join us on our next webinar, which is going to be conflict coaching for high school students, and that's going to be on Wednesday, January 24th, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. And I will be on this call because I'm very curious to see how we're growing more skills of empowerment in students to walk through conflict if they don't necessarily have mediation available to them, or if one of the parties in a conflict isn't open to mediation, there's still something that they can do to get resolution. So please come back and join us in January. My call to action as I sign off tonight is find a way that you can share a smile to start the work of social emotional development in your school. So thank you very, very much for being with us tonight. We hope you have a lovely holiday season and all the best to you in 2018. Thanks for your time.